Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the latest installment of the Summer of Insights. Journey to Effectiveness. Today's topic is about adapting and connecting. Adapting and connecting. So I want to dial you in. I want to get started. I've added the timer to today's session, and it's pushed my layout a little bit differently. So please forgive me while I jump in and make some slight adjustments here. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to record this one a little bit differently. I don't want to block any of the slides. So I think this is going to be the best way to dance with it for now so I can talk to you and through this with you. So when we start getting into today, first of all, this is the final of 4 series of the Summer of Insights. I'm choosing to use adapting and connecting specifically to dial in. Now that we know what we know, we've talked about goals, we talked about profile, we talked about communicating with clarity. Now it's time to adapt and connect. So let's jump straight to it. The agenda for today, 20 minutes of content and engagement. So again, I have to cover the methodology, mini review, mini, fast, like a blitzkrieg, right, on the color energies and the preferences so I can get to the adapting and connecting. So that's how we're going to drive the bus today. Again, the adapting and connecting, if you've got something to write with, if you've got your profile, you've got a notepad, whatever the case might be, take some notes, dial in. You're going to get from this. This is the punctuation mark, if you will, on this summer of learning and these learning lunch and learn sessions. So real quick, again, reinforcing the past, reinforcing so that you're aware. The purpose of Insights: discover self, understand and recognize others. Again, public service announcement. Insights Learning and Development is out of the UK, right? Learn how to adapt your behavior, which is the adapting and connecting component so that you can take effective action. So we start talking about it from that approach and from that angle, right? We really kind of look at the framework of understand self, understand others. Today, hitting hard, heavy on the adapt and connect. That helps you develop those usable interpersonal strategies that empowers you and enables you to take action and effective action. I cover this a lot also in the trainings. You've seen this. To reiterate, Viktor Frankl says our success and the key to our success resides in the space between stimulus and response. That stimulus response can be positive, could be negative, or neutral. It's really all that it can be. The key is using insights as a tool, using that awareness, if you're willing, for the pause button to help you make sure that you temper to the best of your ability that response to produce effective outcomes. That's the key to your success. It's that space in between. Dancing forward, real quick, again, the color energy overview. We're going to get a lot into the color energies today. So again, fiery red, sunshine yellow, earth green, cool blue. We've got the descriptors that are there, the competitive, the determining, right? The sociable, the dynamic, the caring, encouraging, cautious, precise. I'm not going to go into, I've done this multiple times. We're going to get more into those color energies, and I'd rather give you more depth than what this provides. But one thing to clearly understand and to be mindful of is that we're a combination, reiterating again, we're not one, we're a combination of all in how we show up. And that's where that power of awareness comes into play. Continuing forward, attitudes and preferences. There are the underpin, the undertone in the Jungian psychology, those preferences, right? The cool blues, the introverted thinker, earth green, the introverted feeler, sunshine yellow, the extroverted feeler, and then fiery red is an extroverted thinker. So that's critical when we go through this process. I'll leave that there for just a second, but it's knowing that, for example, the extroverted thinker and the introverted feeler, they're opposites. And that's critical. So fiery red, earth green, opposites in how we prefer to show up. Cool blue, sunshine yellow, the same. Introverted thinker, extroverted feeler. So just how we show up, how we make decisions on opposite sides of those preferences. So when we start talking about adapting and connecting, and the critical component of this, and go back and watch those again, follow through if you need to go back to those color energies and those preferences of review. I've done that in just about every session because it's critical to understand the color energies if you're going to adapt and connect effectively, if you're going to be able to do that effectively. So again, we come back to the 4 Insights color energies: fiery red, sunshine yellow, earth green, and cool blue. When I dial in those descriptors, we're going to get a little bit bigger view. Again, introverted thinker, feeler, extroverted feeling, introverted thinking, right? The key in the adapting and connecting is do unto others as they would be done unto. Right? This came up in the communication. So how do I communicate someone if they're that cool blue? They want the data, they want the details, they want give them that. They don't want to hear the story, the big picture. Give me the details, give me the facts, give me the outcomes that we're working for, and let's go forward. right? And it shows up differently in the extroverted sense and fiery red than it does in cool blue. But the key is do unto others as they would be done unto. How do you meet others where they need to be met and feed them the way that they need to be fed? So we start talking about adapting and connecting. We start dialing in fiery red, more descriptors. And that's what my goal is here, to give you a little bit more deeper depth than just the adjectives around the insights wheel. Fire red, confident, decisive, results driven, loves taking charge, making things happen. It speaks directly, moves fast, and thrives on challenges. That's key. So if that's you, does that resonate? I love insights because it's so easy to understand and apply, right? Motivating factors that dial in, that come into the play right here. If you're motivated with fiery red, again, solutions, progress, improved outcomes. How do we dance in that lane and understand, but also now, hey, do I have somebody in my circle, in my work, in my personal life, in my community that I know, in my family that leads with that fiery red, that shows up and you see this? Because we'll talk about it shortly. We leak the truth about ourselves, right? Staying in this fiery red lane here for just another moment, right? Stress shows up. So we start talking about what causes stress, lack of immediacy. So for somebody that leads with a strong preference for fiery red, that pause, like, let's make a decision, let's go, we got to move, we got to do, we got to achieve, we got to accomplish, we got to be part of stuff, go. Right? How do you deal with that? Well, guess what? If you lead with that fiery red, you may need to give more time to the people. Think about it more in advance. You can still get there. It's not a question of if, it's more a question of when. And if you can fill that when, you'll probably be less stressed. And then lastly, as I talked about earlier, the opposites, right? You might be envious of those that lead with earth green, because they can be doing what they do and that may not come natural, but that's okay. If you lead with that fiery red, be thoughtful. You can still help others achieve their goals. You don't have to come at it at a crunch. So again, the power of insights is understanding and having that awareness to know, what does each of the 4 color energies look like, show up, and or behave, so you can engage them accordingly. That's fiery red. Let's make a shift. Let's go down here. We got a couple more to cover. Let's go into sunshine yellow. Sunshine yellow, energetic, right? Big picture thinker, positive, creativity brought to the team. Loves the brainstorming, thrives in social settings, right? And embraces change. Like, change is when are we doing it? For someone that leads with a lot of change for some, well, right? It creates a bigger challenge. Excuse me. So that's part of where that comes into play. We start talking about the motivation, right? Folks that lead with that sunshine yellow love it's the acknowledgement, not from a point of, oh, you got a pat on the back, but just recognition for contributions. Hey, thank you for helping out. That's all you really need to do. Just say thank you, right? Don't rub it under the carpet. Don't give some value to what they bring to the table. It's amazing what you'll get in return. So just as we talked about using the same type of descriptors and graphics and information for fiery red, we'll get into, sunshine yellow. What causes someone that leads with that sunshine yellow stress? Restrictions on flexibility. I'll bind somebody down that can't think creatively out of the box, do different things, have diversity in their work and their workflow. Probably going to be pretty stressed. How do you deal with it? Find the good in the situation and then move forward. Find the good, because that is natural to that sunshine yellow preference. Find the good and then continue to go forward, right? If you get stuck where there's restrictions or there's not flexibility, or you're just feeling stuck in a rut, okay, what's the good of happening? Find already uplifting, go. That's a big part of the process, and that's critical to understanding that sunshine yellow energy. Again, envious of folks with that cool blue preference, right? Because sunshine yellow leads with such big picture and abstract ideas, you can still be focused and bring that cool blue and opposites to the situation or a project or the development that you're working on. Embrace it. Now, may not be able to engage that color energy forever or too long, but the longer you use it, the more it becomes natural. The more you understand, I need to bring cool blue to my situation, even though it's the opposite. Today, I'm wearing my cool blue because I'm giving some really cool blue information. And if you already know, I'm Mr. Sunshine Yellow. Let's move on to earth green. So we start talking about earth green. How does earth green show up? Caring, patient, focus on values and harmony, and really valuing harmony, but also on values. Great listener, builds those relationships. Really focused on the team well-being and the collaboration throughout the team. We start dialing that in, right? That's critical. You need folks we can pull from all of these color energies, know when the right moment is to give and to receive, right? And that's the important component here, give as well as receive. Motivation, when you look at the motivating factors, right? Motivated by organizational personal synergy. How do we get everybody working together, right? That sense of fairness, that sense of togetherness, it's really crucial, really critical for folks that lead with that earth green color energy, right? So how do you do that? How do you meet there? And then when that doesn't happen, if you lead with that earth green color energy, or you've got someone that does and they're stressed, what causes stress? Man, that lack of consideration for others. Like the folks that lead with earth green, they will see people left out. They will see people who may not be treated equally or fairly as everybody else, because that's their value speaking. That's their relational capacity speaking. And so how do you deal with it? Just try to keep it in perspective, right? Don't make potentially bigger than it is, but let's keep an eye on it and then connect and communicate accordingly. But don't let it get out of control. Like just woosah. How do I gain perspective? How do I look at it in a way that can bring me peace and harmony to my life, as well as others? Because that's also critical to the process, right? I'm envious of the assertiveness that comes from leading with fire red. Okay, right? Because it is now, it is go, it is move, it is shake and bake, it is the red whistle. Let's go, right? Right? But earth green energy can still be that, but you got to make sure you can be assertive as long as those values aren't under attack. Because if those values become under attack, then you're going to become defensive and you're going to become more fire red, and you're going to see the not so good things that come out of that fire red behavior. It's there. It's there. And if you caught that, part of the key is, and I've talked about this, and we'll hit this with the stress signals. When we reach a high level, and it's different for everybody. Scale of 1 to 10, someone's stress threshold might be a 2, it might be a 6, it might be an 8. Who knows? It might be a 10. But when we reach that high level of stress, that's where we flip to the opposite side. That's where when we show up, you're going to see somebody who's like, whoa, what's off? Mr. Sunshine Yellow is Mr. Cool Blue, or Mrs. Earth Green is now Miss Fiery Red. Look out, right? It's also adapting and connecting and understanding how that stress shows up in an individual. So I think that's critical and key to bring in. That's why I'm highlighting some of these key things that can become the signposts, that can become the things that you can observe, that you can see, that show up in those color energies for each individual. That gives you clues, because we're going to leak the truth about ourselves. I'm going to get there more. We leak the truth about ourselves all the time. The key is, can you use and are you willing to use insights to let you see and hear how and receive those clues and cues that they're being leaked to you? Next one, last color energy here, and we're going to get into a little bit more here, is that cool blue. Again, detail focused, logical, very thoughtful in how they show up. People that lead, again, they have a preference for, they lead with cool blue. Prefer structure, facts, deep thinking. Let me go away. Let me process. Let me noodle. Let me do whatever you want to do. Right? Approaches decisions with precision and objectivity. It's very factual. It's very on point. It's very detailed. Right? Folks that with that, motivating factors, motivated by orderliness and precision. Things are going to be correct. Are they right? Are those processes in alignment? Are they doing what we say that we're going to do? And are we measuring that? It's all about the data. Now, there's a common connector here. If you haven't figured out, there's a little bit of that in that fiery red. Why? Because those preferences, attitudinal preferences at the top of the wheel, that's the common bond between fiery red and cool blue. Same thing on the bottom, that feeling preference is what binds earth green and sunshine yellow together. Introversion, extroversion, cool blue, earth green, extroversion on fiery red and sunshine yellow. So that's where they're tied. That's why it's important to understand the color energy, how it shows up, and then more importantly, what are the preferences that are the underpin and undertow of those color energies. Start talking about stress as it relates to, what stresses someone out that leads from that cool blue, lack of information or understanding. Like, I need more input, I need more data, right? How's that dealt with? Well, ask more questions, get more definition, right? What's reality from perception? Tell me more. Now, I will also tell you, don't turn that up too much, because that becomes the analysis paralysis that leads to immobility. So there's a balance equation, and you have to understand, we all have cool blue within us. When do I have enough information to make the best decision that I can make at this time, at this moment? That's what's crucial in this process, right? Now, sunshine yellow being the opposite. Hey, I'm envious of that passion, that energy, that excitement that comes from sunshine yellow. It also might drain you. I know this because I a lot of times have to tone down my sunshine yellow when I'm around individuals that lead with a lot of cool blue. You can still lead with cool blue and still have passion, but you're going to want to collect all the information. You're going to want the data. That's how it's going to show up. It's going to show up in your precision. It's going to show up in the accuracy. It's going to show up in the data. That's how you can complement that. Don't have to come out at all energized, right? Jazz is, right? But you do need to show up in a way that's genuine to you, right? If you try to if you're out there and you lead with a lot of cool blue, it's going to be very hard for you. It's going to not feel real to manufacture the energy that someone naturally produces that leads with sunshine yellow. Don't try to be that. Just be the best of what you've got and show up and bring the passion in the precision, because that is valuable. That is critical. That is crucial to everything that happens, whether it's in relationships, in work, doesn't matter. Like, bring it and understand that's okay. You don't have to be what you're not. You can still engage it. You can still use it. Be the best of you. Show up, bring the best of you. And that's really what we're trying to do here. Now, where's the adapting and connecting? Well, guess what? When we start looking at it, I said this earlier, we leak the truth about ourselves. Insights is the tool. Insights is the lens by which you can see what's going on out there, that you can process, use that stimulus response, use that awareness and say, wow, I really do see a lot of this coming from that person. Or heaven forbid, and this, I know this sounds crazy, how do you hear in color? Right? I got my floppy ears that I bring out every time I do that session in my sessions when I train. Why? Because if you pay attention to the words and the specifics that people tell you about what's important and how they show up and what they do, right? They're nonverbal. Like, you can see and hear it. You've got to use those senses. But once you understand and you tune that in, you can read it. You can read it and you can better understand it. I recently sat down with 2 new clients yesterday. There's no doubt in my mind where their lead is coming from. It was absolutely evident in the first few moments. Why did that matter? Because then I can speak and meet to them where they need to be met, help them in a way that's going to be helpful, right? Understand the stress signals, understand the goals, the motivating factors. Again, I've been doing this a while, so it happens for me rapidly, but I love the lens. I love the seeing. I love if you just pause long enough and use insights as a tool and the lens by which to see the truth that others leak about themselves to you, it's a pretty powerful process. That's the power of insights. So let's play a little bit. We talk about leak the truth about ourselves. One of the best ways that you can play with this to get really good at it at no cost. I talk about this in the training all the time. Find a favorite series. Find anything that has multiple characters in it. I went after Stranger Things, right? If you haven't seen Stranger Things on Netflix, it blows up, shuts down the internet every time a new season comes out. Sadly, it has come to its end. But when it did, boy, it was popping. Everybody's watching it. Everybody's talking about it. It's all over social media. So I went with that, and I'm like, okay, well, let's take some of the main characters, right? You got Mike, right? You've got Will. You've got Lucas. You got Dustin, and of course, you've got L or 11, right? 5 key core characters that is throughout the entire series. And if you're not familiar, Dungeons and Dragons characters are also absolutely the epitome of their preferences. So if you watch it, dial that in to watch the preferences when they do Dungeons and Dragons. I love it because those characters speak volumes to who they are as individuals. But if we take each one of those characters, right, and we watched it and we've seen it, well, we can guess what we can do, right? We can dial it around. Oh, I threw Nancy in here because Nancy is also one of the characters that's there, but she's a complement to where everyone else, in my opinion, and where I've done the connecting and the watching shows up around the wheel. So you've got some Nancy who's up there. She's really that fight. She go, 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 do. She's the big sister, right? She's the driving force. Absolutely come out firehead. You got Dustin and you've got Mike down below in the sunshine yellow, especially Dustin. Like, Dustin is absolutely the epitome of sunshine yellow color energy. Love it. His energy, the creativity, the thoughtfulness, right? But also that need to be seen, that need to be heard. It shows up throughout everything. And then you've got Will down here. Will is a character that doesn't start out heavily because he's lost. He's lost in the down under, right? But Will, absolutely, he is the glue and the emotional glue of the group. He always is got great way to look at the big picture that impacts anybody. Lucas, it's about his creativity comes in the specifics, the data, the details of process. And then L, I put her in the middle because, man, lots of cool blue, lots of fire red. It's about doing, it's about winning. And by golly, she fights for everybody in that series. I've come to the end of my 20 minutes of what I was working to do and where I was going in this process, right? The key in this whole thing is we leak the truth about ourselves. So I would encourage you, whether it's the House of Dragons, whether it's Friends, whatever you enjoy watching, play for free. Find a series that has some level or some depth to it. Watch the character development. Watch how they show up. Watch and receive and look at the truth that they leak to you about their preferences, about what they do, and then more importantly, how they do it. Again, we leak the truth about ourselves, watch it, see it, understand the color energies, know it when you hear it. It's going to change the way you connect to those around you. It has the absolute opportunity to increase that relational capacity that you have with potentially even the most challenging person in your world. If you understand where they're coming from, there's value, immense value, and that awareness of self, which is where it starts, that awareness of others, empowering you and enabling you to adapt and connect. I thank you for your time. Again, I've got tons of resources out there. There's also in your profile, there's the communication. I left this from the last time because there's really valuable ways to go through your profile on communication, which is a huge component of adapting and connecting. The barriers to your opposite type, right? I just believe strongly in sharing and reiterating that information with you. And then, you know what? Again, just reinforcing our key to success resides in the space between stimulus and response. It's either going to be positive, it's going to be negative, or it's going to be neutral. Can you pause long enough? Can you use your lenses? Can you use your eyes or your ears? Where is someone coming from? How do I meet them where they need to be met? Feed them the way they need to be fed? Use that awareness and that willingness to make that connection and insights can be one of the most powerful tools in your toolkit. If you've got any questions or comments, please throw them in there. I didn't have anybody submit anything in advance. And so at this point in time, I'm going to dance, bring this to a close. If you had a hard time, you're not sure where your profile is, you've misfiled it, you don't know where it is, you'd like to have a soft copy, just send an email to rklinger@mtrain.com. If you're watching this and you've never been through my training, this topic, these sessions are specifically through folks who have already given a profile. You're interested, Ron, I want to know more about insights, reach out to that same email address there at rklinger@mtrain.com. The other thing I would encourage you to do is continue to follow along. I post all of these replays out on my podcast site, out on YouTube at The Clutch Podcast. Again, at The Clutch Podcast, where shift happens, because it's all about the mind shift. It's all about approaching things differently to produce your ability to be successful and effective. I thank you for your time and following in. I thank you for your presence. If I can be any help to you, your organization, the culture, your teams, your managers, your leaders, that's what I do. I look under the hood, try to create an environment and culture where the best of each of us can show up and contribute at work every single day. This has been the 4th series of 4 for a Summer of Insights Lunch and Learn edition on your journey to effectiveness. I'm your host, Ron Klinger. Thank you for listening in. Thank you for dialing in. Have a great day. And until next time, see ya.